Hello, this is Compound Interest Stock Guy, and today we are going to get into Wayland selling their Canadian assets to Cryptologic on the CSE, so stay tuned. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. It helps my channel grow. I appreciate it. I want to disclose I'm not a financial advisor. This is just for entertainment information purposes. If you find any value from this video, all I ask is that you give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. So it is saying that they're going to sell non-binding LOA to sell Canadian business to Cryptologic Corp. Obtains commitment for $5 million bridge loan from Cryptologic. Negotiation second phase of transfer of international business to ICC International. And it intends to distribute Cryptologic and ICC shares to Wayland shareholders on closing. So it's based on Wayland shareholders will be expected to own 70% of Cryptologic business and 60% of ICC. Matthew McLeod appointed as Wayland CEO through closing of transaction, and Ben Ward resigns as Wayland CEO and director, and announces auditor change and update on operational matters. So I'm reading this and it says anticipation of consideration of 57.5 million Cryptologic shares at a deemed issue price of $4 per share. Okay, that sounds good, but why is Cryptologic selling for $2.50 or 30 cents right now? So that makes no sense. It's at 29 million market cap, so there's about like 10 million shares out. So very tight float. Cryptologic liabilities. So Cryptologic will handle all the liabilities related to Wayland's business. And it says it transaction values at approximately 230 million plus assumed liabilities. Cryptologic will be a single-purpose cannabis company with a cash balance of at least 25 million, amounts to be advanced under the bridge loan discussed below, and any other amounts advanced by Cryptologic to Wayland or to. So, and they've committed to that pre-signing 5 million subordinate bridge loan and exclusivity period until September 15th, 2019. So it's also announced a negotiation of potential evolution in its previously announced involving the transfer of Wayland's remaining interest in its international port in exchange for additional common shares of ICC. It is expected that under this proposed transaction, Wayland will effectively distribute the Cryptologic and ICC shares to be received by it to its shareholders upon completion of the transaction. No definitive agreement between ICC and Cryptologic at this time, and there can be no assurance that this transaction will occur on the timelines or anticipated by Wayland at all. And Wayland is not going to provide any further update until a definitive agreement has been signed, or otherwise until required by applicable law. Paul Pathak, chair of the board, commented the transaction with Cryptologic and ICC represented the culmination of a strategic review and our careful consideration of a range of factors, opportunities, and risks, including the company's recent operating performance and that of the industry as a whole, and the views expressed by significant shareholders and other stakeholders of the company. We want to thank our shareholders and stakeholders for their patience throughout this process, and they're happy with the strategy they have going forward to provide maximum value for all involved. And yeah. And then they're saying that Matthew McLeod will take on CEO title to navigate a difficult period in this development, and he's been instrumental in leading the development and negotiation of these transformative transactions. We look forward to his continued strong leadership in this new position. Following its detailed consideration of several potential transactions for the company's Canadian, Wayland has determined that the potential transaction with Crypto represent the best available alternatives for a range, including its low level of dilution to Wayland shareholders in respect of the availability of immediate liquidity through the bridge loan and significant future liquidity to address both Wayland's existing liabilities and the funding to fuel its growth, and the anticipated strong leadership team, including Jordan Greenberg, Cryptologic's current CFO and former CFO of Nuvera Inc., Matthew McLeod, Wayland's current Chief Executive Officer, and other key members of Wayland's management team. So yeah, members of it is anticipated that John Kennedy, the current CEO, he'll be resigning when it closes. So Mr. Greenberg was a former CFO of Nuvera, which raised over $100 million in equity finance, then completed several cannabis-related acquisitions both in Canada and in international markets, and its go-public process of the reverse takeover of a publicly traded shell, then achieved a successful exit through a plan of arrangement with Afria, valued in excess of $500 million. Yeah, so the bridge loan will constitute subordinate debt under the company's existing security convertible debenture indenture unless consent of the debenture holders is obtained pursuant to that indenture. These funds are expected to be used to satisfy certain existing liabilities and to continue the build-out of Wayland's state-of-the-art EU GMP certified facility in Langdon, Ontario. Wayland intends to maintain a focus on financial and operational discipline in connection with its ongoing build-out of the facility, sell the business, and assets comprising. So it remains subject to a number of conditions, including without limitation the completion of satisfactory due diligence by Cryptologic and Wayland, the negotiation and entering into a satisfactory and transaction structure, receipt of applicable security holder and in accordance with that. And Ben Ward has resigned as CEO and as director of Wayland. So yeah, there's something to do with like the auditors. The MMP is unable to resolve an issue related to the company's CEO in the audit of 2018 financial statements. So yeah, my take on this outside of this news release is basically Ben Ward is cancer to the cannabis industry. I should have never invested into a company based on Ben Ward. I will never invest into a company that has Ben Ward. Ben Ward's cancer. I can't state that enough. Nuvera, they did the deal with Afria, so because they have those connections, there's a good chance that this entity can turn into a company under Afria in the future. That's a good chance just from those connections. Let's look into Wayland Group, Matthew McLeod. I kind of trust him as a person, so he's leading the team, but I want to see his past experience and just for double check what his past experience is. Just give you an overview. As far as this new entity Shell, they're gonna to raise money eventually, but they're a very tight float. 57.5 million in shares is very small, so I guess that's good. I mean, okay, so Matt was called to the Ontario bar and the New York bar, and an MBA from the Royal Military College as well as Matt started as a corporate lawyer with Osler, Hoskins, and Harcourt in New York City, and has significant experience providing corporate structure and commercial support to including leading the legal group at a Canadian bank-owned financial and most recently as the head of the legal and compliance groups at a private equity-backed technology company based in Toronto, Ontario. Matt is a key figure at Wayland for transaction execution and leading the day-to-day operations of the company. So it doesn't really say that it's really worked for any like public big companies, but I mean, this is the same type of law firm that what's his name? Uh, Clay Horner. Yeah, this guy, Clay Horner. He's done, I believe, $30 billion. See, was a senior partner of law firm Osler, Hoskin and Harcourt. Uh, he did $300 billion of transactions over the past 25 years, including Canadian and cross-border with the United Kingdom. So it's the same. They're connected, right? So we'll see. I mean, I want to trust him. I think he's better for handling the business than Ben Ward. Ben Ward was just outlandish and he wanted to spend money instead of focus on Langdon. And yeah, it's pissed off a lot of investors and all this. As far as like their assets, I believe in their assets and their global assets with ICC and World, and I believe in Langdon facility. But it does need to be built out fully and then running at operation. They have some really great distribution deals with provinces, and they have some really big distribution deals with Europe and so on. So I mean, there's if the right management team it takes charge and moves these company in the right direction, it's gonna be like running good. I believe. I just didn't want Ben Ward running it. But as far as like the transition part right now, until it becomes like really running at full steam, like where it's running like at a med relief kind of like where they were doing like 10 million a quarter, and you know just really rampant on like full scale. There it's gonna take a while I think to get to that scale, but I think these assets will be good in the future. Anyways, that's my take. I hope you like this video. Leave a comment down below. Give me thumbs up. Again, subscribe if you're new. And until next time, peace.